Good morning and welcome to this week's Grow, where we gather to recharge, organize, and work here as members of MWEG. We're happy to be continuing our summer program series, Moving in Closer. And today we're going to talk about the practice that sustains us with Michael Ampello, our Director of Communities. And we invite everybody who's joining us today um, to join the conversation and to share your thoughts and experiences throughout this discussion. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Michael Land.
All right, good morning. It's fun to be able to chat with this group of friendly faces. And I wanted to start off with a quick introduction. So Rachel introduced me. I'm Michael Ann Pello. I'm the Director of Communities at MWEG. And I thought it would be fun to start with a question that everybody can answer. And so I was going to ask a two-part question. One, where are you from? Where do you live? And two, what is your go-to dinner on a busy night? So you can for this conversation, I'd love for you to have your camera on and interact if you're in a place where you want to do that. If you want to just communicate in the chat, that's also great. If you're just listening in while you're exercising or doing something else, that's also fine. So where are you from? And what is your go-to dinner on a busy night? So I live in Durham, North Carolina, right in the middle of the state. And my go-to dinner for a busy night is almost always taco salad. So, oh yeah. So Molly's takeout, that's a great choice.
Ooh, I'm Rachel Albertson, and I live in Gilbert, Arizona, but I'm originally from Salt Lake City, Utah. And on a busy night, um, if it's not takeout, it's usually a crock pot dinner that we refer to as creamy chicken. But I'm up to here with it, so I don't eat it, but my kids love it, and it's an easy dinner for them.
Yeah, that's a great one. All right. Anybody else? What's your go-to dinner?
I am Jalaire. I'm in Longmont, Colorado, which is north of Denver, partway between like Fort Collins and Denver. Um, I would say if it's a really busy night and it's last minute, it's spaghetti with just jarred sauce because that's fast and it's almost always in the pantry. But if I'm planning ahead and know it's got to be busy, it's usually something with like rice and like saucy meat that people can like, it can be ready like in the crock pot and people can take it with them in a Tupperware if we're all going in different directions.
These are good. These are good. See, I wasn't thinking that this was going to be like a helpful part for myself, but I actually really am appreciating all these good busy weeknight. So yeah, if you just joined, where are you from and what is your go-to easy dinner for a busy night? Anybody else want to join in and share?
I can share. I'm Lindsay Echo Hawk. I'm from St. George, Utah. My like go-to dinner on a busy night is some kind of salad of some sort, usually like sometimes with lettuce, sometimes it's just like we usually have like beans or lentils or something in the house. We'll do that and like throw some veggies in, do some kind of sauce and like a can of chicken or something like that and just make like a mix of some sort.
I love that. That sounds like a close cousin to my taco salad. That's usually what taco salad looks like at our house. Just kind of what kind of things are in the cabinet and freezer. Okay, we had two more people join, so just so you don't think this is a really weird grow talking about funny dinners, we're doing a little connecting question to start with. So tell us where you're from and what's your go-to busy weeknight dinner? Oh, we have tacos or spaghetti from Jen in the chat.
I like a good tomato sandwich now that I'm finally getting tomatoes from my garden.
Oh, yeah. A good tomato sandwich can't be beat. Elizabeth, where are you from?
I am living in Logan, Utah, but from Texas originally.
Wonderful. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I even have like a t-shirt that says mayo and tomato on it. It's my little tomato sandwich t-shirt. So yes, to garden tomatoes. Okay, that was fun. It's always helpful to kind of know where everybody's coming from. Today, we really are just going to have a conversation together about the theme of our summer program. I'm going to kind of outline the summer program a little bit to start with, and we have a few people that are going to share some experiences, but really I hope that you will interact either in the chat or you'll off mute, you come off mute and share with us. So I wanted to kind of recap the summer program a little bit and start off with what we articulated as the summer program's purpose when we sat down to try to figure out what we needed in this moment. And we did this planning probably in March of this year. And we were just having lots and lots of new members join our organization, and things were feeling pretty heavy and chaotic. And so what we articulated was that we wanted a summer program that was going to invite women to joyfully strengthen connections within their community and their personal relationships, and that we wanted to emphasize resilience, and that this was inspired by our shared faith here at MWEG, and that we wanted to encourage two things. One, small, meaningful gatherings, and then also just kind of joyful, everyday, organic type of interactions, and recognize that both of those things really build community and connection, and that our overall hope was that this intentional focus on moving in closer to the people in our lives would help us all foster some resilience and some peace and just deeper human connection. And so that's really what we felt like we needed in this moment. So those were our overall goals when we set out, and we decided on our framework. If you've participated, you know our framework was a bingo card, and we decided we would use that as a way to extend invitations. And we did things like invite people to gather and use their voices and lift together, learn together, and connect. We also created some hosting guides that are kind of like a party outline, an evening gathering outline that make those small, meaningful gatherings easy to plan. We did a variety of things with the summer program that really just kind of highlighted existing MWEG programming. So we had a series of grows, just like this one today, that were about different aspects and elements of moving in closer. There were living room conversations that were about fellowship and friendship. We had a special proximity course that was about advocating for immigrant neighbors in our communities, and that's actually, they're going to start again. So if you missed that this early summer, a new one will start later in August, so keep your eye out for that. Our book group read The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker in June, and then in July we had a virtual event with Priya Parker where she chatted with Jen, and they talked about ways that intentional gathering strengthens relationships and communities. And so there were a few other little things, but I think that hit most of what we participated, what we kind of planned. And so I'm curious if you participated in any of those things over the summer, if you wanted to share a takeaway that stuck with you. If you went to a living room conversation, or maybe you joined one of the earlier grows, or you tuned into the Priya Parker conversation, if there was anything that you feel like you're still thinking about. I feel like anytime I do something, if I'm still thinking about it weeks afterwards, that's especially in my life of consuming lots of content, that's always like a marker that it was something I should pay attention to. So I'm curious, you can share in the chat, or you can come off of mute and tell us what was something that you felt like was a takeaway from any of those things over the summer.
I can start.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead, Jill.
Okay. I was just going to start. So earlier in the summer, I worked with Michael Ann and others in the MWAG team to help get the summer program launched. And so I was really thinking a lot about different ways that I was going to interact. And so I have a couple of things I wanted to share. I listened to the Art of Gathering by Priya Parker, and I had actually already made a goal this year. I'm doing the church's children and youth program with my kids. We do it as a family, and so my social goal, if you're familiar with that program for this year, was to plan a social get together at least once a month. And that has looked like inviting just one family over for dinner, or maybe having a smaller party of some kind. But listening to that book and then participating in the book club discussion, I started following Priya Parker on Instagram. I came to the Priya Parker event. I can't say I'm like a master gatherer yet, or a gathering artist, since it was the art of gathering, but it's making me think more about like, okay, what is the purpose? How can I make sure I have a good purpose for my gatherings? And who should be invited? How should I do that? And so I'm still working on that, but I do see a lot of value in the tips that she gave about how we create gatherings and how we choose who is included. And so that was something that for me was has been really useful because it's something I like to do anyway. I like to gather people. I like to party. I like to do that. But to think about how I can do it better has been really a good exercise for me. And so I'm still working on it and trying to um, plan like something that is just like outrageous and fun because she posts a lot of interesting, fun ideas that she shares that other people are doing on her Instagram. So I have a couple other things that I can talk about as well, but I want to let somebody else go now.
Thanks, Julia. I love that. She is a really fun follow on Instagram because she does share all kinds of out of the ordinary gatherings that are always just kind of like, I mean, a lot of them just make me smile, and I think like, oh my gosh, I would never do that.
Yeah. And the other one I like
every once in a while, I see one where I'm like, that's really kind of cool.
Yeah, the other one I like are her magical questions, which she calls like which are like just great conversation starters to really get people talking. And so I think those are kind of fun ways too to just make even any like one-on-one conversation or usually it's a group conversation that's going to be better. So
yeah, thanks. Those are great takeaways. Yeah. Anybody else have any takeaways that from like participating in something? Molly?
Yeah, so first of all, I have two things. First of all, I went to my first living room conversation. I've been meaning to go since we started doing it, which is a little ridiculous. It's not that I couldn't have done it. It's just I don't always think about events in the evening. Usually I just want to like turn off and chill. So I finally did it. It was lovely. I it was a fun group of ladies. Um, I kind of want to join one that has maybe a topic that's a little bit harder. Does that make sense? Like I want to like feel like I'm stretching myself more and in an environment that's kind of controlled and it can help me learn to it's like I'm sometimes bad at interrupting people and like I'm always thinking of like the next thing I want to say. So those are things I'm working on. So this was helpful in that way. Um, the other thing I want to share is I kind of inadvertently helped create like a magical question situation. My my grandpa passed away in June, and so a lot of the family went up to the funeral, and my mom's family is lovely, but they can kind of be a lot, and uh, I was a little bit worried beforehand that, a few people might get into it at some point. We had this gathering at my uncle's house after the funeral, and I just told everybody, I was like, okay, I'm going to want to write down everybody's grandpa's nicknames for everybody. So everybody like went around and said because my grandpa always had a nickname for everybody. So we did that. And then he was a sailor. He was LDS, but kind of a little spicy, kind of had a mouth, and he loved nothing better than like a witty phrase. So we all like also I asked them to share what all the phrases that they remembered that my grandpa would like to say. So we actually were laughing and having such a great time, um, and it turned what could have been maybe an emotional tense situation into I think something that we'll all remember for a long time.
Oh, I love that. I love those. I don't know if anybody, well, I know Jill said she listened to the book, but there's even a section in Priya Parker's book where she talked about gatherings. Um, I mean, funerals, sorry, obviously, where she talked about funerals and like different ways that different cultures gather around that ritual. And I loved kind of thinking about reimagining some of those things and introducing like meaningful interactions between family members. So that is wonderful, Molly. We had a few really incredible summer program superstars that volunteered to be kind of ambassadors for our summer program in Central this summer. And they participated all summer long, and they shared a lot of the things that they did. And I invited them to come share today, and many of them work during the day, so they couldn't join us. But one in particular shared some really thoughtful reflections on the summer program. And I asked Lindsay if she would read some of this. Came from Alyssa Jones, and she said we were welcome to share her thoughts, and she wished that she was here sharing with us. But I wanted to, I really loved a few of the things that Alyssa brought up in her remarks that she sent me. So Lindsay, will you share some of those with us?
Yeah, so Alyssa said, focusing on moving in closer helped me push myself in ways that I might not have otherwise. I found that the intentionality behind it helped me put my desires into action. It helped me step outside of my comfortable little introvert bubble and have meaningful moments that only happen when you move. It helped me realize that I can work from where I am at, that I don't have to be perfect. I think there is an inherent momentum in the act of connection. I found myself doing things that I was sure must have been on the bingo card, but when I looked, they actually weren't. I was just coming up with ideas that felt the same, an intentional effort born of the desire to connect with others. And that was definitely inspired by focusing on moving in closer. That momentum has been contagious. Over time, we can get better and better at building deeper connections and having courage to build connections in ways that maybe we wouldn't have considered initially. I had finished the Art of Gathering book, and I spent weeks thinking about what the purpose of my upcoming gathering was, how to open it, close it, and create a whole different world just for those few hours. I'm not going to lie, I totally got stressed out. I was so nervous to invite that many people over to my home. But what happened was worth all the investment. We cried together, laughed together, acknowledged our human nature, the importance of memories with others, and had one of the most unique experiences probably most, if not all of us, had ever had at a gathering. One guest joked that I should plan her birthday party, and I told her about the art of gathering. I just want to say to everyone and to myself to always take the little step, always push yourself just 1% more, because everyone needs connection, and you only do that through moving in closer.
Thanks for sharing her thoughts. So I loved the part, especially where she brought up momentum and how she felt like just kind of getting into the practice of doing these small things really just built some momentum in her life, where she found herself doing things and thinking like, oh, this has got to be a bingo square. And then she goes back and finds like, oh, it's not, but it's very much in line with all of these things. And she felt like it kind of helped her focus her efforts on the things that she wanted to be focused on around connection. So I love that momentum thought. I wanted to talk just for a minute about what I titled today's gathering, today's Grow, Moving in Closer, the practice that sustains us. And as we kind of wrap up the summer program and we look towards what's next in our lives, getting kids back in school or whatever that looks like in each of our lives, I wanted to kind of think about the practices of connection and how we can carry them forth. And so the practice part for me, I felt like fit that this effort personally, because I'm coming to understand more and more that fostering connections is often inconvenient and sometimes uncomfortable for me. And I'm pretty extroverted and I like people, but I'm still finding this to be true, especially in those relationships that matter the most, that sometimes we take for granted, or those extended family situations where there are really places we want to connect, where sometimes differences really feel like larger than they are, and it's harder to focus on the things we have in common. These kind of practices around being intentional, I just have found that I need to genuinely practice, like it just fit. And so that's kind of why I wanted to use that word in the title today and kind of bring that topic to us as we talk about connection. And so my question for you is, what are some simple practices, like some small intentional things that you think can be a part of an everyday life? Maybe there are things you already do that you're pretty good at, or there are things that you see other people do. But I'm curious, in the chat or coming off mute and sharing your thoughts, I'm curious to hear what you think. What are some like small intentional practices that we might take as a takeaway today, that just help us have connection be more top of mind. So I'll start with one while you're thinking, since I've had time to think about this. And this is a pretty simple one, but it is trying not to be on my phone when I'm in public, unless it's like an extended waiting. Like I will be on my phone in a waiting room at an orthodontist appointment if I'm going to be there for a long time with kids. But like if I'm waiting in line at the grocery store, or just those like small in and outs where I love to listen to audiobooks. I'm often listening in the car, and I have had times in my life where I've just put those earbuds in and gone in, done my Costco run. And so one small thing that I have been trying to do is to just be a little bit more present when I'm in public and in places where I might just have a small, very organic interaction with somebody, even if it's just kind of like a smile, or, engaging with a little kid who's being noisy, or whatever that looks like. That's been one of the small things that I've been trying to do over the last few weeks, to just connect more with the people that I'm engaging with. So tell me what you think. What are some other small intentional practices?
I can share one. Sometimes I like joke that I'm an introverted extrovert because I'm like an extrovert in the sense that I like really love being with people. I love socializing, but I am really like nervous meeting like new people and talking to new people. And I just like for a long time struggled with this, like, oh my gosh, they're gonna think I'm annoying, like I can't bother them, And so um that is like something I've tried to get over in my adulthood, but something like recently that has um I've been trying to do is like I feel the need to like make church feel like a welcoming place for everybody, and I just want to really I my hope is that everybody feels like they belong at church. And so that's something over the last few months I've been like focusing on, and I really relate to like what Alyssa said in her message about how like once you get going, it kind of just picks up because like before there's back in February or something like that, there's this lady that I realized hadn't been really studied along like very much lately. And so I made her like a little like box of treats and wrote her a letter, and I was like, I hope you're doing okay. Like let me know if you need anything. And I was like panicking doing it. Like I had to I like even when I parked outside her house, I was like, you did it, you gotta go. like but now it's at the point where like I see new people and I just like don't even think about it anymore. I'm just like, oh hey, you're new in the Lord, welcome, tell me about yourself, and like just get going. That like once you start, that momentum really keeps going and stuff. And so I like what she said, and I think that's helpful. Is like for one, like I think it also helped me to kind of have like a goal in mind of like, hey, I want to make sure people feel welcome. And so then that helped me to be able to do it because it was my way to accomplish that goal. And then once you get started, it just keeps going.
Thanks. I really love the thought of how sometimes like the first time you're trying something is that really uncomfortable, and you can kind of have to talk yourself up, but then but once you've done it a few times, you think like, I'm just that kind of person. I'm the person that's gonna welcome people at church. That's just who I'm gonna be. So thanks, Lindsay. Is there anybody else that has any thoughts on like small intentional?
Yeah, I was just thinking about kind of the opposite of you, Michael. I'm being on my phone a little bit more, but really it's about using my phone as a way to like check in with people and text people. Like when I have a thought about somebody, like going ahead and following through on it. And like I actually have a reminder on my phone to like remind me to think about my sisters that I minister to for Relief Society, but it helps to just be like, "Oh, have you thought about them?" I mean, my reminder literally says, "Have you thought about your ministering sisters?" and and then it's got their names. And I use that as a reminder. So to me, that's not necessarily like ingrained. It's like I'm going to use this tool of my phone to help me. But then also like last night, I thought about somebody that I was like, oh, I he would love to hear about this experience I just had. And so it was late. I wanted to get in bed, but I quickly put a note on my phone for today to text Bob. It's literally his name. Didn't make it up. But to tell him about this experience that I had because was with an organization that that he works with. And so I was like, I had this positive experience. I want him to know. Um, and so I'm trying to work more on that. I'm running for office right now. And so like I'm very intentionally like networking with everybody I know for different reasons. And it's awkward because I'm usually asking them for money. But I'm also like right? And so I'm calling people I haven't talked to for a long time. So please answer if I call you. Um, but like, but it's making me think about like, who do I have relationships with that I could talk to that would believe in me? Who do I have a relationship with? Or like later today, I'm going for coffee. We do a lot of going for coffee with people when you don't drink coffee. Somebody that I want to get to know better that I think would be a great partner in the future. And so I'm having to do a lot of connecting, and like these little texts of like learning more about people has become like, or to just touch base with them in a very specific personal way is something I'm working on and trying to be more intentional about so that I can develop meaningful relationships and maintain them, because I am creating so many new ones that I want to be sincere. I don't want to be fake, that I have to like, so I'm trying to think more about how am I being intentional about that? And it's, I think, taking a personal interest in and following up and, you know, being real as much as I can be.
Yeah, I had a kid once look at my to-do list, one of my children, and say, "Your to-do list says call grandma." Like you need a to, and I was like, I do actually, and that's me being intentional. Like that's just me saying like this is important to me, and it's really easy for me to get like busy with the life that's happening right in front of me, and so I do need those kind of reminders to connect with people, and so I like that reminder, Jalaire. I have one last question for you, and it kind of goes along with the second part of the title. So the practice that sustains us. And I wanted to kind of make this connection of focusing and being intentional on moving in closer and connecting to people and building this kind of resilience and um, the human bonds and connections that we need to the work that those of us who find ourselves here at MWEG feel called to do, and how um, the if you want to call it advocacy or you want to call it service or however that fits for you, the ability that we have to continue to show up when the road is really long, and the odds seem stacked against us. That I wanted to connect this and kind of point out that the work of connection and building community is the it's not just an extra for people who are stressed about the state of the world, but it is the very practice that will sustain us as we lift our voices and we work together to make a difference. And so I wanted to invite you to think about and if you have an example you want to share, just opportunities or not opportunities, but experiences in your life where you have had times where you've had connection that has been sustaining for you, and maybe even at the same time times when you have had experiences of burnout and recognized that it's been a lack of connection that has contributed to those feelings of overwhelm and kind of exhaustion and burnout. So if anybody has a thought on that, I'd be happy to hear. Have kind of a closing thought around how we um, just how the work that we do to build connection helps us from being overwhelmed. Um, oh, a great one in the chat. So a simple thing I've been focusing on is quality of eye contact and smiles, which is, yeah, not over the top. Like, don't want to creep anybody out, but also like so nice to really be intentional about looking at people. I have been called on that one with my teenage kids before, where they come in and I'm busy doing something, and um, I don't like, I don't turn and make the eye contact and really connect. And it sure does make a difference when I do that.
I have a
Elizabeth, do you have
thought.
something?
Yeah. So a few months ago, I was like, it started out as I was like, oh, I want to do a service thing and I want to do this to like give back, but it's ended up being a really meaningful thing that I feel like I've received a lot through. There's an organization that matches you just on Zoom calls with women who are immigrants and have moved to the US and are learning English. So you start on a big Zoom call with just everyone, and then you kind of divide out and talk to 2 or 3 people at a time. Who are English learners, and there's one person who's a native English speaker and a bunch of learners. And I started off kind of thinking, oh, this is a good thing. Like I want to do something, but I've just been amazed at how like spiritual it feels to just hear these women's stories and hear them talk about their lives and hardships and experiences. And every time I'm done, like I just want to cry about it, because it really has felt renewing to me to hear people who who have, faced really difficult things and are right now, especially facing really difficult things, but have a lot of hope and are willing, like even with they're supporting each other on the call and be like, oh, that's I've had an experience like that. Here's what helped me. And I do a lot less talking than I expected. I do a lot of listening and learning from them. And it's just been a really cool experience for me to go in thinking like, oh, I'm going to help, but I'm being a lot more help than I'm giving, I feel like.
Well, that sounds like a beautiful organization and a really cool experience. And I love
Yeah.
those times when you think you're showing up to offer service and in the end you end up being served. And that's really cool. Yeah, Christina, I would love for you to share.
I'm having a casual day with my toddler here, so she's joining
Oh,
me. So part of the casualness here, but yeah, no, thanks for the good conversation. Something that might seem like from a slightly different angle is I I had a very stressful day. I tried to get to the gym, take my toddler to the play area, and anyway, I did not have the best exchange with the manager. She asked me to do something that I didn't know I was supposed to with the check-in, whatever, and I kind of broke down a little bit. My mom was in the yard that morning, and anyway, she just had no idea what I was trying to manage behind the scenes, and I had this moment where I thought we were both human. I'm not totally proud of the way that I responded, and I don't think she probably was either. And the next time I saw her, and it would have been so easy to feel like, oh gosh, I never want to have to deal with that person again. I never want to go back. Um, but the next time I saw her, and I did reach out to the people and I said, hey, please let her know that I'm human. I know she's human. That was a frustrating customer service experience. But anyway, the next time I saw her, I just said, hey, I want you to know I'm the mom who had the meltdown the other day. My mom was in the ER. And I just expressed to her how much this play area, what a lifeline it is to me as a new mom, and how much, getting my exercise in, and I'm usually better after my exercise in makes a difference. And we had a really nice connection where I could have just left it and blown it off. But I wanted to repair that. And I feel like in our follow and unfollow and subscribe and whatever blocking culture, it would be really easy for me to just disconnect and blame the facility, right? But I wanted to kind of repair it with this manager, and thankfully we had a really nice connection, and I am happily going to the gym still. And it was just a moment of humanity and acknowledging that, and I kind of took ownership. So a different version of connection, but I really feel like we need more repairing and anyway exchanges like that. So that was my experience.
that is a beautiful one. And honestly, feel like we could have a whole nother conversation just on like repair as connection. Like that's
Yeah.
I feel like just very much in agreement with your thoughts about that is what we need. We need more repair and we all have opportunities. We all have those stressful interactions with people
Right?
that we walk away and think that was not my best self. and
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
how
big.
often, yeah. It's just it's beautiful that you went back and made the repair. But like you said, it would have been easy to just kind of be like, oh, well, she was kind of in the wrong. And
Yeah. But anyway, so I just, yeah, and I even thought too, I mean, first I wanted to do it just as a person, but two, I thought, what if I do run for office in this area or something, and I thought, man, this is one, I want to be a good person, but two, you have to pay attention to how you're behaving in public and online and all those things. I try to do that anyway, but I'll put that out there for those running for office that I remember my mayor was a friend in our last area. She said, I can't just go to the gas station in my sweats anymore. And so there are things to think about just being a person, but then also if you want to be a person of influence, people respect. So that's my 2 cents.
that's lovely. Thank you for sharing and for everybody who contributed today to our conversation. I know that oftentimes grows take different forms and a lot of times they're like informational presentations. And as I thought about this one today, I really just wanted to have a conversation about these things that I feel are really integral pieces to the work that we do at MWAG. And so my hope to leave you today with is just that that you leave with the confidence that you have unique offerings to make in your communities, whether those are small repairs or they're significant organizations or you're like Jillaire running for office, but that even those smallest efforts create positive ripples. And that is really what we're kind of all in this together and being intentional about connection. Like I said earlier, it's not an extra for people who are not stressed about the state of the world. It really is the very practice that sustains us as we lift our voices and we try to work together to make a difference. And I so appreciate being in an organization and have the opportunities to hear and be inspired and encouraged from all of you. And so I hope you'll continue to show up. If you participated in the summer program at all and you have a couple of minutes, we would love for you to fill out a survey. And even actually, if you didn't participate, it would be great for you to fill this survey out because it has some opportunities for you to share. This just helps us plan programming that is really just kind of meeting the needs of our membership. So I dropped it in the chat. If you have a minute, it'll be shared in other spaces in Central and in the newsletter as well. But we would love for you to give us your feedback on the things that you did participate in and what kind of things you would like to see from MWAG in the future. And yeah, thanks so much for participating today and sharing all your great experiences and just yourselves with us.
Thank you, Michael Ann, and thank you to all of the ladies in MWAG who helped with the summer program, who, like Jalair said, from planning it earlier in the year to executing. And we've had these series of grows discussing different elements of the program. So if you're interested to go back and watch those, there is at the bottom of the, if you scroll to the left side of your spaces in MWAG Central, there's like a video recording space that you can find the grows. You can find any member deep dives, which is where the link for the Priya Parker event recording is there until August 7th. So you can go back and listen to that if you missed it. There's a lot of resources that we have, and like a lot of people mentioned that there's other ways that you can be involved, organizations, different things. And next week on the Grow, we're going to talk about being involved as a poll worker and volunteering with elections. So we hope that you'll join us next week if you're interested in that, and to share MWAG with any women in your life that you think might have interest or benefit from the resources that MWAG has made available. We would love for you to invite friends to join us. As you know, membership's free, so you can just invite people and share with them what about MWAG you love and the value you get out of it. So we would love for you to share that. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Michael Ann, and we'll see you guys next week.